decided on this project.
I thought we decided what we were talking about.
No, we didn't.
Well,
We did
I mean,
decide what we were
I think Connor
about
really wanted us to inflation and money, but I think Connor really wanted us to say that on record, he was right.
On record, I was
He
right.
was right. He was right.
on a math problem.
Yeah, buddy.
I was just guessing. Like, I don't know what things cost in 1960. Like, what are you talking about?
I was
Right?
guessing too.
Yeah, no, it's a complete shot in the dark.
It's a complete shot in the dark. With classic.
Like, honestly, I undershot. I was thinking it was going to be like $500. I wasn't expecting 1,000. Like, I can understand now why that guy's wife would have been so angry.
Should we explain the joke, or
No,
would you explain the? Okay.
nope.
Pretty adults only joke on that one.
Yeah, just
Pretty
a little
blue.
bit. Yeah, it's
Not,
a little blue. It's a little
on
blue.
a different note, I'm looking at a meme right now, and the caption is, "I can't wait to pay off my burrito bowl," and it's Chipotle, $11.50, and they did a payment plan for their burrito, and it's
What?
$2.87
That's insane.
for this next 4 months. You
No,
never heard about how Klarna is now on the delivery food app? Did you not hear about that?
No.
People are financing their deliveries?
Yes, they are. You can Klarna your food deliveries now.
I mean, I'm not surprised. But at the same time, wasn't there like a joke in
Idiocracy?
No. Goodwill Hunting, like about
Oh.
this exact same about this exact thing, right?
Yep.
It's like, no, we're gonna put your burger on layaway, right? You know, you come over here, you pay your 2 cents, and in 2 weeks you get your burger.
But this is the
No,
reverse.
it's 2 cents for like the next 6 months.
Oh yeah, and then he gets his
And then
burger.
after 6 months you get his burger.
Yeah.
Confession time. I've never seen Good Will Hunting.
Oh, such a great movie.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah,
so good.
Never seen it.
It will make you cry.
It's a great movie.
It will make you cry.
I would put that on the top of your list. That should be the next movie you should watch.
I don't know. I was really looking at that Better Man. That's I think like so.
What is that on?
It's on Paramount Plus. Is where that one's on.
I don't have that
right now.
So
well, but you got some friends that have Paramount Plus, so you can get together with your friends.
Okay, come
and
up
watch
to
those
Aberdeen,
movies.
or come up to Bismarck.
Yeah, I'll be there in like a month.
Is that how long your daughter's here?
No, she's there for a week. Like they're coming back to help us. Like so the reason they took her is so that we could finish packing and getting some things without, doing stuff at night a little bit, So instead of recording a podcast, I could be packing.
No.
But I mean we're like 85% of the way there. So
have you had any bites on your house?
About it.
Yeah. So you didn't break. Yeah.
It's not on the market yet. Because we want to have things packed and cleaned so that it can be staged right. So there's just a good presentation for when people walk through it and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and because we're moving in with mom and dad for temporarily until Aaron finds a job and we find the house that we want to buy to be like our forever home. So we're not in like a super rush to sell the house in Aberdeen. So we could probably, we could ask a fair price for it. Maybe a little bit on the high side. Like we did our competitive market analysis. On the low side, it was $269, and on the high side was $289.
Not as nice, but
not as nice.
Still pretty nice.
And so the recommended was $277.5.
Ooh, wow!
Yeah.
That's a yeah.
So that was the recommended, and so it's like, well, let's maybe go a little bit on the higher side and shoot for the recommended. Kind of to give some room there.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and so
what did
we're
you
not.
Buy it for?
I bought it in 2017 for $190.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You made really good equity on that.
Yep, some decent. I did refinance in 2020 when rates dropped.
Yeah.
So like I
That's
had
smart.
like a 2% reduction in rate. So I went from like 465 to 265. So that part hurts a little bit because I have a really good 30-year rate right now that I'll have to give up to buy a new house. But you know, it is what it is, and you marry the house and date the interest rate. So, so what's going to happen is I'm going to sell this house. I'm going to get full asking price for it. We're going to get to Bismarck, and then the bubble's going to pop, and I'll be able to buy whatever house I want for whatever price I want to. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I really do hope that happens.
You know, I hope that for you too. You know, and you know what the best part is you'll be in Bismarck and you get to hang out with your good old buddy Connor. We can go get wings and go hang out and be bros
and do everything that I did with him when I was there.
And I'm looking at houses to where like the second story bedrooms, like you can open the window and get on the roof so that we can smoke roof cigars.
Roof beer!
That's maybe a little dangerous, but roof cigars for sure.
Have you ever had a roof beer?
I've had several, and then I've watched people fall off said roof.
Yeah, but there's so much there's so much something different about having a roof beer. I think that original house with that giant, massive slanted, I think that was the one you guys should have got.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, you could just don't even need a ladder. You could just walk on top of the roof.
Yep.
On that note,
speaking of walking on roofs,
yeah. So, welcome everyone to Those Catholic Gamers, a podcast where Catholic guys come to talk about video games and their Catholic faith and whatever the hell else comes up in the conversation.
Word vomit at its best.
I am James, your host, and today I am joined with me, as almost always, Connor.
Hello.
And Andrew.
Good evening.
Alrighty. So today, were we doing the FPS conversation?
Yeah, we were.
Okay. I was like, wait, what are we doing?
Might as Alrighty.
Well. Yeah. So today we are going to be discussing the FPS or first-person shooter genre, our experiences with it, our opinions of it, and just kind of in general discussion of those things. So I have no script, so today is a very, very nice Connor. It was meant for Andrew, but
I was pointing out for Andrew.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at James because he was the one talking, and that's what you're supposed to do.
I don't. That bald head is magnificent, but I don't stare at it.
Yeah, you just wish you could rub this.
I do.
So, but yeah, no, we're just kind of a very rambly episode. We have no script. We have no outline. It's just kind of whatever comes across in the conversation. So yeah, just kind of, I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, sorry, James. It's my fault. Whenever I come on the podcast, it's when it becomes just a rant fest, and we just kind of ramble and go on. But on that note, to have a little bit of structure to this deal, Connor, what was the first-person shooter game you played?
Well, I played Wolfenstein, the original one.
Ooh,
my uncle had it on his PC, and I was probably 4 or 5. Pretty sure. And he had like a joystick and everything, and I saw him, watched him play it, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. You get to shoot. Well, I didn't know what Nazis were at the time, but it was just like he was playing it, and my dad was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Why would you ever spend your money on this? Blah, 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 blah. My uncle's like, yeah, it's fun. So I remember watching him play that, and I got to like shoot once, and that was the first time I played.
So literally, like, the thing that created the FPS genre.
The first FPS.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think my first was very similar. It was a Wolfenstein clone. It was Doom.
Ah, nice.
Yep. And then so same kind of situation. I had an uncle that was retired from the Air Force and had expendable income, so he had a PC, and I remember playing Doom as the first person shooter. There was a cheat code to unlock all guns, all ammo, and all keys for each level. And I still remember to this day, it's IDKFA. If you type that in very quickly, it unlocks the cheat code for all the keys, all the guns, and infinite ammo. So that's pretty cool.
There you go. Yeah. So what was it? My first person shooter, or no. So, well, I guess FPS, right, is a first person shooter. I guess it would be Doom 2, right? So I wanted to play a game. My grandfather said, "Hey, there's a game that your uncle has on here." Stuck it in, and I couldn't get past the first door. So I walked around in the world and was not able to do anything.
That sounds about right.
My dad was really into Myst when I was growing up. So that's not a first person shooter, but it's like a first person interactive game, right? And so I remember watching him play that. But I guess like kind of like my first person shooter ever was probably the flight simulator, World War II flight simulator over Europe. So you're in a plane. We had a joystick, and you're flying the plane, and you're in dogfight combat, and you're sitting in the actual. I don't know. You're shooting first person.
You could argue it's a first person shooter.
Yeah. So I guess that would either be it. Otherwise, it would probably be the demo game that came with it, which was Heavy Gear 2, which no one has ever heard of. It was made by Activision.
Is it a mech game?
Yeah, it was a mech game. It was like what Mech Warriors was, and then it was the cheap knockoff version that Activision was trying to get involved with. But it was a lot of fun. And you could steer and move around the mech with the joystick as well. Like it was like a proper flight joystick.
Okay. Way to not answer the question, but answer the question.
Yeah. So maybe we should the things that you just described were simulators. One was a flight simulator, a dogfight flight simulator, and the second one was a mecha robot simulator. So in my mind, I guess I think a first person shooter is like a human sized character, like from the first person's perspective, holding a gun out in front of you. Usually has some kind of level based system. Like if we're talking about like early FPS games like Doom and Wolfenstein, even if we go into like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, which GoldenEye and Perfect Dark were, I would say, where I cut my teeth in first person shooters. So Doom was the first one I played, but I played a lot of GoldenEye and Perfect Dark on the N64.
Classic.
So you have a stage, and then as they've evolved, there's maybe some platforming elements to it as well, some puzzle-solving elements in the first-person shooter. But I really think that it is a human character that has a gun sticking out in the front of them, and you're walking around or running around from that perspective.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I can understand
Makes
that.
Sense. I get
Let's see
that.
here. Let me pull up the wiki then, and see.
Step 1, open the wiki. Step 2, read the entire first paragraph. Step 3, there's your intro.
Not entirely. I actually so the this episode is going to be coming out 2 weeks after this coming Friday. So this episode coming Friday, I actually wrote out a lot of that introduction. So that'll be kind of fun. So.
Nice.
Oh gosh. I mean, if we're gonna go by that definition, I would probably have to say that my first FPS It's probably going to have to be like Medal of Honor, Allied Assault, or something like that.
Okay, yeah, I think Allied Assault was one of the early Medal of Honors. That was maybe the second or third one.
Yeah. So it's either got to be that one, or I did play, was it Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. But you can switch between first person and third person.
Yeah, that was one of the innovative things about that game is like third person for all the lightsaber platforming Jedi stuff, and then first person for all the shooty blaster stuff.
Yep.
So makes sense.
Yeah, I distinctly remember watching a friend of mine play GoldenEye or 007 GoldenEye or something like that, and but if I did ever play it, I was like walk around, got shot, died, and it was like, okay, I'm really bad at this. This is not my thing. I was definitely more into like the racers and things growing up, or the RTSs. So
that surprised me because usually RTSs are a lot more complicated.
The nice thing about it, I wasn't good.
Usually, like the barrier entry for first-person shooters is very low.
Yeah, it is.
Although it is kind of funny, like through the years, like I've like my little sisters playing games with them and stuff like that. Like going from one analog stick with the N64, just controlling your character, to two, and just like the movement and so the left stick controls your like bodily position, and the right stick controls your head of where you're looking, and in the combination of the two, you can get some really like refined movement that's going on. Just watching my sisters like not have the eye-hand coordination to figure it out.
They could only control one at a time.
Yeah, one at a time. I'm going to run to this point and then look over there and then run to that point. And then,
and somehow in between that, you get lost.
Yep. And then, and then it's really confusing if you have someone that, if they're playing like that and you're moving and shooting or running and gunning, as they like to say, it's just overwhelming.
It's too much. It was too much.
Yeah, and then so that was kind of where I started. I started with Perfect Dark in 007, and then I moved into the Nintendo GameCube, was the next console that I had, and I played a lot of Metroid Prime, which was, I've never
actually played that game. I've heard it's super fun.
Yeah, super cool game. Has a lot of replayability, I think, because they're doing this world building, and part of it is how fast can you complete the levels, but how fast can you complete the levels while collecting all the power-ups, while also scanning everything about the environment to learn more about the world of the environment. And so there was different visors, and there was different different weapons that you could play that Samus could use, and Metroid Prime was the first entry of a first-person 3D world for the Metroid series. Otherwise, it was just always a 2D scroller platformer, which I think it was pretty critically acclaimed, if I remember. And I played a lot of that game.
Okay, see, I played a lot of Metroid Fusion on the GBA. I would speedrun that in my off time because I had an action replay and I had cheats for it, so I could just try to beat it as fast as I could.
So the really cool thing is that was a companion with Metroid Prime, and if you had the Game Boy Advance connector for the Nintendo GameCube, you could use the the Game Boy Advance as like a mini map as you were going around.
Okay.
And I might be misremembering this. I don't but this is what I'm remembering. And then you unlock different costumes. Like you could use the Metroid Fusion suit in Metroid Prime instead of the Prime suit in the game. So there was some cool crossovers between those two games.
Okay. Interesting. Makes sense.
But that one was definitely focused like player versus environment. There was no multiplayer with it. It was all just like we're telling the story.
Yeah.
And then so that was kind of the next era of my first person shooting experience.
Gotcha. And like
Cool.
growing up, I didn't have a ton of FPS until I got my first Xbox or my Xbox 360, and then I got into Halo and all that. That was kind of the big one that really turned me on to a lot of first person shooter. Was the first Halo. That was like my first like, okay, I'm taking this serious. And I did play like I would go to buddies' houses and play GoldenEye and stuff, but like that was the extent of it. And I never had a N64 growing up, so I never got to fully encounter it. I was mostly experiencing the other. I have played it on PC because they did like a fan remake, so you could play GoldenEye with keyboard and mouse, and it's totally busted. Like it's not designed whatsoever to have keyboard and mouse. Like all of the guns are super overpowered for headshots. But I did that. I never. Yeah, I'd say Halo was my first, and then Call of Duty. I played a ton of Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops, all those until it got to be. We talked about that last episode where it just got to be too much, and I had to quit. And now I play a lot on PC. Got to play a ton of Payday 2. That was probably one of my most played games I've ever played, first person shooter wise. Got a ton of hours into that. And I know it's not a first person shooter right now, but I am straight up addicted to Marvel Rivals, which is an Overwatch clone, which Overwatch is a first person shooter. So if so facto, it's not a first person shooter. But it's
Fair
fun.
enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. But there's so much going on with the genre itself that it's got humble beginnings, right? It's got Quake and Wolfenstein and Doom. Those are like the first like real first person shooters, and they're you can consider them arcade shooters where you're basically just shooting aliens and just blowing stuff up and just running from map to map, doing objectives. And then now we get to the point where it's just there's so many, just like we were talking with horror, there's so many subgenres of even first person shooters that like there's BRs now, battle royales, and like your tactical shooters. There's your Counter Strikes, right? Which that's a whole different like genre itself where it's supposed to be very strategic combat.
Mm-hmm.
Tactical shooter, yeah.
Yeah, you got your tactic, and then you've got your arcade shooters still, like Quake. Quake is still a thing. Probably 90% of people who were listening to podcasts was like, "What's Quake?" It was like the OG, like drink Mountain Dew till 3 a.m, first person shooter, just get hand jitters and just run around the map with a railgun shooting dudes and all that stuff.
So Quake, I think, is like the precursor to what Halo was for us. Like the LAN parties and all that. Like people would do LAN parties with Quake.
And Unreal Tournament, that was a big one too.
Yeah. Is it Quake or Unreal Tournament where if you fall off the map, your body explodes?
Oh, I think it's Unreal Tournament.
Is that Unreal Tournament? Okay. I distinctly remember seeing that at a friend's house when I was, I was in the 4th grade. So I was 10, and I was like horrified. Like sick to my stomach, cold chills. I was like, no. And we were actually supposed to have a sleepover, and I walked home. I was just a block away, but I was like, I'm sorry, I can't.
Wow.
It was like,
I think we've covered on the podcast before that James was a very sensitive child.
I was a very sensitive child.
Well, I remember growing up watching G4. And like sometimes at night they would have different like tournaments, and they'd have like 4 people play 4-on-4 games. And one of the games they would play was Unreal Tournament 2004, 2001. I forget which one it was.
That would have been the area that G4 was on the air. So yeah, that and Unreal Tournament was a big deal. And I remember the same thing, watching Unreal Tournament, people play it.
I was like,
but
I want to
even
play
today,
this game.
Today Unreal Tournament is still a thing. I think like 2019 was maybe the last edition of it that came out. Like they still like crazy, like super high fidelity graphics and that. I might be wrong. Connor's doing the fact check right now, but I distinctly remember Unreal coming back in a big way. Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh, they took it off Steam. I have all of the Unreal tournaments on Steam, but I think they took it off of the marketplace.
Well, because I think is it a Blizzard game? It's like on BlizzNet, I think.
Let me actual consult Google. Unreal tournament. They canceled one. It looks like. Yeah, it is Epic Games, so it's probably on Epic. The Epic.
Oh, Epic,
yeah.
not Blizzard. Yeah. Epic, yeah.
Trying to think here. Going series. So there's Unreal, Unreal 2, Unreal Tournament, 2003, 2004, Unreal Tournament 3, and then there was a track. They were gonna do another game in 2007, but it got canceled. And then there's Unreal Championship, which was for Xbox, and Championship 2, which I would not want to play. No, they don't have made any more games, Unreal games.
No,
or Unreal Tournament games.
No, they stopped a long time ago.
I thought that there was a new Unreal Tournament game that they were making that was like modern.
I could see if they did like some sort of like update, right? Like kind of a remaster kind of deal.
They tried in July 2017, but it remained in beta, and there was servers were shut down in January of 2023.
Okay. So I remembered correctly, but I guess I didn't know. I thought that it was still a thing.
No, yeah. Last one was Unreal Tournament 3, which I coincidentally have, even though it's not on Steam anymore. But nonetheless, they were a lot of fun. They were very like intense games. Don't get me wrong. Like there'd be like you'd shoot someone and they'd blow up into little giblets and stuff. And like it was like very, very action, like high speed action type game where you're just
you were zipping all over that.
You're
map.
zipping around, shooting anything that moves, and jumping and collecting armor and health, and just like and you're just going hard. So I mean, yeah, the gameplay is and it's only multiplayer based. There's no single player like to speak of in these games. If you want to play single player, you play the Unreal games. But yeah, they're a lot of ton of fun. They kind of have your OG deathmatch, team deathmatch, capture flag, duel, which is 1-on-1. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that happen in these games, and they kind of have the advent of like your clan based like gaming and like playing with friends. Just like create LAN parties and just go hard. Unreal's a great game. Unreal Tournament.
Fair enough.
Even if you were playing against bots.
So, how about comments on like from where we started to about what was it? Right when we had pretty much all the time in the world in college, right? Like how looking back, how often would you say you gravitated towards FPSs?
Pretty regularly, to be honest. I feel like that's always my fallback. Like, I've always been an FPS guy.
Yeah.
It's just one of my go-to guilty pleasures. Just I don't know. It's just if I get bored of a game, I'm just like, well, what can I do now? Oh, FPS. Like Call of Duty was always like, especially in college, I played a lot of Modern Warfare 3. To the point where I was not doing well in school. And then I got into Payday 2 and same thing, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like there's different games that you just have fallbacks and genres, and for me, that's always been FPSs. What about you guys?
Yeah, for me, when I was in college and had the time, I played a lot of Destiny, and then I also remember that's when like I think Call of Duty Advanced Warfare maybe came out, and Exo Zombies was a thing, and I really enjoyed the Exo Zombies. And the exosuit, just like the movement that it gave you within the Call of Duty that you never had before, like just more verticality and double jumping and cool things that. And then then the zombies have the exosuits too, and it's a lot of fun. It's crazy. It's wild. Also, one of the things like that I thought was interesting about that game is they used like real actors as the characters. It wasn't like the regular zombies from Black Ops where it was like, oh, these are invented characters. It was like, no, like that's Bill Paxton, and here he is. He's the main dude in Exo Zombies, and the cast of characters that were like legit actors. And I think that was one of the first games that started to do that, of actually having actors being put in there, or it's one of the first I recall or remember.
I was like Red Alert was doing that before with cutscenes. Red Alert was doing it, and then in like the 80s, there was this string of games. They're like point and click style games that used real humans and like.
Well, I wasn't alive in the 80s, so.
Or like Mortal Kombat, they used real people as models for their.
No, I'm talking like A-list. I was talking like A-list actors.
I don't know. So, dear listener, if you have any games, make a comment in the down below. Maybe we can find some more games with A-list actors. I wasn't like Kevin Spacey or what's his name?
Yeah, I think Kevin Spacey was. He was. Yeah, I think he was like
He was the main villain.
The main villain. I think Bill Paxton was in there. The one of the dudes from The Walking Dead.
Oh, like the Boondock Saints brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, I think it was Rick's buddy, Rick's partner was in there. I don't know.
Oh, he plays
Morty?
Gosh. No. He's
Rick and Morty?
He plays
Punisher.
Punisher. Thank you.
Oh,
yeah.
You're thinking of
quick, Google it.
John Bernthal?
I don't know people's names, dude.
John Bernthal? Was he in that game?
This is very riveting stuff.
I know. Aren't we so much fun, guys? Aren't we so much fun? Yeah, I don't know. I'm at the wiki. I don't know.
Doesn't matter. I played a lot of Destiny. A lot of Destiny. A lot of Exo Zombies.
Yeah.
Destiny was cool. It was, MMO with, far future things, world building, kind of a mix of adventure and PvP in there. So that's one that I played quite a bit of.
It's kind of like Star Citizen, right? Yeah. We've made it like 39 episodes and we haven't talked about Star Citizen and the disaster that still is.
I don't think I've ever played it.
I hope that you don't. Andrew, you're hiding your face.
Did you play it?
No, I didn't play it, but it was like all the promises of like how good of a game this was going to be, how groundbreaking, and it's going to be a game that it's as big as the universe is, and you build a ship and you do the things, and it's a massively multiplayer online game, and you're going to have factions, and you're going to have all this great stuff that people like and that people want. And I'm pretty sure it was just a Ponzi scheme. He just kept raising money, and then never developed the game.
It's
Are you talking about No Man's Sky?
No. Actually, No Man's Sky turned around.
Yeah, I know that.
There you go. Yeah. So I mean, what was it? We kind of see, right? So FPS is, like, especially in our mind, we really think of them as like a combat simulator almost, right? Like you are in the shoes of a soldier. You go out, hit your objective, kill the enemies that are coming at you. But there are certain games out there that actually have kind of taken that dynamic and have twisted it on its head. Which, I mean, the first one that comes to mind for me is Portal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
you're
Portal's
first
a great
person.
Game.
You're shooting, but there's no combat, right? You're just solving puzzles. So Andrew,
That's not true.
I pose
There's
this to you.
turrets.
Yeah, but you don't utilize them against anybody, right? You know,
You can use them against other turrets.
yeah, but turrets aren't alive. You know.
Okay, then that's not that limitation for the
GLaDOS
first
is not
shooter
alive.
that you think of. She has feelings.
Silicone-based life. Artificial
This is
intelligence.
This is a triumph.
I don't know. The cake was a
Huge
lie, man.
success.
So
The
Andrew, I
cake was
pose
a
this
lie.
question. I pose this
Cake is a
question to
lie.
you. Can we define Portal and other games of its ilk, right, as an FPS? Because if I go into Steam, right, and I pull up my library and I do a filtration on store tags FPS, Portal and Portal 2 do show up under FPS here.
Yeah, I think that you could make an argument that yes, it is, but it's kind of maybe it's kind of one of these genre blending kind of games where someone definitely said, "Hey, let's take the mechanics of a first person shooter but make it into a puzzle game." Another game that's very similar, or not very similar to Portal, but what I would consider a first person shooter is a game called A Story About My Uncle, which is a first person game, a first person mode, where it's been a while since I played it, been a few years, but it's like you're sucked into this, you're trying to find your uncle who gets like sucked into this dream world, and you have like this like power where you can like grapple, like you have this like grapple hook, and like so you're flying through these levels with this grappling hook trying to get to like go find your uncle. And I don't remember if there was
Stanley
any,
Parable is a first
any
person
comment. There's no shooting in a Stanley Parable.
Just kidding.
A Stanley Parable is a walking simulator.
That's true. I was just kidding. Keep going. You can keep talking.
Yeah, so I think that like even we could get into something like is Subnautica, you know, is like that's a survival simulator, but it's from the first person perspective.
Yeah.
And you can get a gun, and you can shoot the gun.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there's elements about it. So that poses the question then, to be a pure first person shooter, does it have to have some kind of competitive or multiplayer thing about it?
Not necessarily.
Portal 2 is multiplayer, but if I think of like an FPS, I'm thinking like, okay, Team Fortress, Call of Duty, Destiny, PUBG, Counter-Strike. Those would be the games. Halo, Quake, Half-Life. Those would be the kind of games that I would consider first-person shooters in their purest form.
Pistol Whip?
Pistol Whip is called the game. Is that a game?
Yeah, it's a VR game.
Oh, I've never played it. Never heard of it.
It's a rhythm shooting game. When you come to town, we'll play Pistol Whip. You will fall in love, and you will buy a VR headset because of it.
I'll just come over to your house and use it.
You guys remember Catechumen?
No.
This is a Catholic podcast. I have to bring it up.
Uh-oh. Is this a heretical first person shooter?
No. Have any of you, or have either of you heard of the game called Catechumen?
I have not.
Haven't heard of it.
Okay, so I have the privilege of knowing a family who had this game, and essentially it's a first-person shooter where you have a sword and you shoot like heavenly. It's so ridiculous. It's like heavenly beams of grace out of the sword to like stop Roman soldiers from it coming to get you because you're a catechumen in the early times of the church. And the final boss is like you finally like go into hell and you confront Satan directly and you defeat. It's a
sounds about
complete
right.
weird Protestant game. But there are a couple of people on YouTube that have gone through and played it and actually went back and went, you know what? It wasn't bad. It wasn't good, but it wasn't bad.
Catechumen is a first-person shooter set in the year 171 during the time of the persecutions of Christians in the Roman Empire. The player assumes the role of a catechumen, a novice Christian undergoing training with a mentor for 1 year before being granted access to the secret meetings. Before their training could be completed, their mentor and brethren were captured by Romans, so the catechumen seeks to free them. 18 levels facing possessed Roman soldiers and various demons.
Yeah.
Alright, I guess.
That's epic. That is an epic game right there.
It's a good description of a game, but whether or not it actually lived up to the hype is different.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of like games living up to the hype, and a game that definitely lived up to the hype, in my opinion, was Doom 2016. Talking about first-person shooters, Doom 2016 was awesome.
Great game.
So, what was it? Confession time. I've bought and tried to play through Doom, and I couldn't make it through the first level. It's so violent and it's so gory that I was just like, you know what? I feel bad. Like you
feel bad killing the Hellspawn violently.
Right? Well, what was it? How did one of my friends explain it to me? What was it? Like in-game universe, Doom guy is filled with such like righteous anger that all of everything that he's doing is actually like good. So I mean that's right. You're just going around and just killing demons. But there's just something so grotesque and demonic about it, where I was just like, I can't play this. I want to play through it. It's just, but every time it's like on sale for like $2.
The soundtrack
is amazing.
Good.
Yeah,
such a good soundtrack.
You get your blood pumping.
So yeah, I mean, I've tried. It does look really good, and I really do want to enjoy it. But I mean,
I want to play the new one that's coming out.
The
Doom
third
Eternal?
one, Doom.
Oh, the newest
Dark
one.
Ages.
Yeah.
I haven't played Doom Eternal yet.
I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, but I mean, it's on the list. I definitely need other people to be there to kind of help me review it, because, like I said, I don't know.
How about this? I need to take a break from Marvel Rivals, and I'll play through Doom Eternal, and we can do a review on it.
Okay, that sounds good.
I think that's the one I have. Let me look at it real quick here.
So would you consider, so since you posed the question, I'm just looking at my Steam library. You posed the question of, okay, Portal, it's in first person, you are shooting things, but it's a puzzle game. Is the Elder Scrolls Skyrim a first person shooter? Because
right?
Yeah, because let's face it, in 2025, if you're playing Skyrim, everybody defaults to Stealth Archer because it's just really fun to play the game that way.
There's a Viva La Dirt League episode on YouTube about literally that fact, where they're like, oh my gosh, this time I'm going to be this time I'm going to be that, and it's like 20 hours later and all three of them are Stealth Archers.
It's the way to play the game. It's the way to play that game. It's the meta. It's the best way.
It diverts into that every time.
So is Skyrim a first person shooter? Or
I would argue not. I'll be devil's advocate on this one, just for the sake of that there isn't when you think of a first person shooter, you think of like some type of gun. Or I mean, you could argue that you're using melee weapons though too, where you have the access to. I would say it's more of an RPG.
Well, it for sure is a role. It's for sure an RPG. Like, it has all the elements of like you're there's this epic quest, and you are statting and putting and upgrading skills and building armor, and it has all of the elements of a classic RPG just in a first person setting. Another game too, Dishonored. Did you guys play Dishonored at all?
I did.
Yeah, there's elements of that game that you could say are a first person shooter, but I wouldn't consider Dishonored a first person shooter necessarily. It's a way to play Dishonored, but it's not the most efficient way to play it. I'd say that one's kind of more of like a first person action adventure game than it is a first person shooter.
Sure. Well, let's see here. So I would agree with Connor when it comes to the Elder Scrolls, right? But at the same time, we run into a kind of problem of like Warhammer Vermintide, right? Those are actually classified as FPSs. I think what we would need to clarify is how heavily does a game rely on the certain mode in which the game is meant to be played, right? So, like Warhammer Vermintide, or a lot of these like Team Fortress 2, the what we need to look at is what is the gaming, or what is the central gaming loop, right? What do I do in order to complete task, right? So it's put arrows or pointer on target and click button, and thus I attack, right? That I think we could define as like a first person shooter, while Elder Scrolls games, especially Skyrim, does have that, and definitely more so than even its predecessors in that genre, in that series. I don't think we can first classify it as a first person shooter, because it is distinctly a role playing game, because it's not just, bow and arrow, right? There are a lot of people. I actually know of one person where they don't default to Stealth Archer. Every time they play, he goes into the magic. Yeah. Big in the mage. I always kind of like am half Stealth Archer, half heavy fighter with a sword. So because of that, and because of the other elements where it's more focused on the role playing of the game, and because of the open world, that is its central gaming loop, and because of that, it's more of an RPG. I mean, a lot of games nowadays have these FPS, other systems or other gaming loops that are in there, right? So, what was it? The Ocarina of Time, right? You could technically, if we just wanted to say, "Oh, you're shooting a bow and arrow, and it's from the first person point of view." I don't think we can
such a
consider
minor part of the game, though. Like that's not like
you
have the major part of the game should be in the first person.
Yep, and that's exactly
the point. That's the point that he's making right now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, I would say because Dishonored the focus is to take out a enemy, be that up close and personal with a sword or with a dagger, with certain powers, or with a crossbow, right? The central gaming loop of Dishonored is more towards the FPS, where so I could see where, in our library, FPS Dishonored does show up here, right? And then we also have things.
The store page on Dishonored does not have FPS.
It does. Well, so under my library, when I do like a search in the filter for FPS, it does show up.
So when I do a search in the filter, the only thing that comes up for me is FPS chess. Let me see.
Oh no! Go to under store tags.
That is the way to play chess.
I don't know how to use Steam, guys. Store tags, FPS. Borderlands, Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, Cyberpunk, Dishonored does show up there, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Fallout as well, right? Far Cry series, Half-Life. Yeah.
Far Cry is
So,
for sure first-person shooter.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's like Far Cry is an FPS with RPG-like elements, right? So it's Elder Scrolls flipped on its head, right? So when Far Cry 3 came out, it's like it's Elder Scrolls with guns, and it's like, well, it's actually kind of the opposite, right? So I think when we do these kinds of conversations, right, we are needing to look, and I mean, having this kind of conversation is a lot of fun anyway, but we need to look at that kind of that core gaming loop, right? What does the game want you as the player to do in order to achieve said goal, right?
Okay. Shooty, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Shoot, bang, bang, bang.
So yeah, okay, I can
think
see that.
I like the original way that you explained it. It was like you have a gun in front of you and you're walking around and you are the character. Like, I mean, obviously there's like then that just has to be the main makeup of the gameplay itself.
Yeah. No, and I mean it's a good foundation. And then what we've seen, right, within the gaming world is playing with that dynamic and saying, okay, well, what can we add or what can we take away and still have a interactive game loop that fits within this said genre, quote unquote, right? And we get things like, Portal and I mean, like Sniper Elite, right? That's more of a stealth game. I don't know if you guys have ever played Sniper Elite.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, it's more third person though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a third person game, but
I feel like
have it, but it's listing under here as a first person as an FPS.
So that's the same thing with Splinter Cell. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Blacklist is showing up. Splinter Cell is a third-person stealth action game.
But the multiplayer has first-person aspects.
Yeah, if you're doing spies versus mercenaries or whatever, like the spies are in third person, the mercenaries are in first person.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, there's that element.
There can be elements, but that's not the primary part of the game,
Yeah. But I mean, like, what was it with Sniper Elite, right? Every time you take a shot, you're going into first person. But it's a tactical shooter because depending on how hard you make the difficulty of the game is how real the bullet drop is and the elements of wind and as if you get far enough out, the Coriolis effect of the world, right? Like it gets really into detail. But I mean that is the core game loop, right? Is get up to a spot where you can start taking out Nazis, and you get to watch the X-ray view of their brains being blown out,
shooting them in the nuts,
or
watching their testicles explode.
So
that was one of my favorite things to do.
Shoot what was it, Hitler in the balls?
Yeah, just watch him explode.
Hitler deserved to get shot in the balls.
You're not wrong. Hitler was bad.
Okay.
Let's let the world know that this podcast thinks Hitler was bad.
I just said I want to shoot him in the balls.
Yep.
Wasn't that like a big thing in South Park? Did something about that?
I
can't remember.
Oh man, well, I don't think it's ever been way too long since I've seen a South Park episode because I don't ever need to watch South Park.
Come on. South Park was so good.
Yeah.
It's
so bad it's good.
Very good social commentary for the time. And I watched the doc, like one of the South Park documentaries that exists. And it's like
7 days.
Yeah, 7 days. And like so
that was such a good one.
What's the crazy things politically, socially, like what are the crazy things that are going on and how do we capture that and put it into an episode. Oh, by the way, like you have like 3 hours to storyboard it, and then you have to animate all of it, and yeah, you have 7 days to produce a show, and you do that over and over and over and over again for decades.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
then,
I think now we've bantered and we've talked a lot about first-person shooters, our experience with them, the kinds we play, the definition in our minds of how it lives.
What is an FPS shooter?
Right. So I suppose, like, then, since this is a show where we do talk about our faith, like, how does the FPS genre and playing these games affect you in your faith? Are these things that we should be doing as Catholics? You know, are these things that we should avoid, or should we be going for them? What's really the crux of the matter here?
Oh, this is complicated, right? So like the nature of first person shooter is you are the character, right? So as you being the character, you then you have to then commit the acts of whatever your character does. So then you have like the moral culpability of the character itself. So I mean, as Catholics, we shouldn't be playing first person shooters. Just to I mean, I'm the biggest I don't know, not the oxymorons, but I'm like problem number one when it comes. I play a lot of first person shooters, and I know it's not good for me. Not good for your soul, just because that it is like a lot of it has to do with killing. A lot of it has to do with every like sin that you can think of. So it's a murky road, right? Where everything in moderation, where I don't know, where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought. Where like you can build fellowship and bonding with people through games, but it doesn't necessarily make it good. So I mean, I would say as a moral like Catholic, you probably shouldn't be playing first person shooters. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think the same could even be like this is just a question that's a big philosophical question in the modern era, right? Because you could even look at a role playing game like Skyrim, right? Should a Catholic be playing Skyrim, where you can be a thief, you can be a murderer, you can be, you know, a member of the Thieves Guild or a member of the Dark Brotherhood? Should you be participating in that? Or, you know, you could look at the other side, like there's a lot of first-person shooter games that are military games, right, where you're emulating, you know, the Allied assault on the Axis forces, and then you get into like just war theory and justified killing, like non-sinful killing, right? So,
I mean, killing is still sinful. It's just whether or not it's mortal or venial.
But okay. Yeah. Whether or not it's killing or murder, let's put it that way.
There you go.
Right. And so it begs to question then, like, okay, well, should we be even playing video games anyway? But you know, I don't think that video games will be something that I ever give up per se. But when I do play a game, I usually try to be like as moral as I can be when I'm playing the game. So when I'm playing like a game like Knights of the Old Republic, I'm not using dark side powers. I'm not going and playing. There's an argument to be made that I'm missing out on half the game, but I'm really not interested in playing an evil character. So, and that was like one of the things, like Destiny. Played a lot of Destiny. The whole point was like to save humanity, right? There's these extraterrestrial threats or these non-human threats that humanity is facing, and you are a guardian that is trying to protect humanity. Yeah, very violent, very, you know, you're not really considering the personhood of the alien races that are clearly intelligent and clearly have personhood and have hierarchical structures and technology and the abilities to do the same things that humans can, and in a lot of cases to a more advanced degree. So like, but it's like for humanity, like that's us, like we're the good guys. We're always the good guys, right, guys?
We try to be.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sin,
no.
sin complicates things, but yeah, should try to be.
Yeah, James, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree more with you on this, Andrew. Part of the whole process of reviewing the game, right, is going through the story, right? What is the game? What are the makers of this game trying to tell us? Right? What story are they trying to say? Right? Connor and I pointed out in Modern Warfare 2 in our review, right? Self-sacrifice. Like there's an element of self-sacrifice that is important to kind of see drawn out. I mean, the same could be asked about whether or not one should even go and watch like war films, right? And watching Saving Private Ryan, right? The question is what kind of story are they trying to relay? And I would say, unfortunately, that most games, just in general, their stories are really bad, right? They either have really bad elements or they just are not told well, being because this is such a new area in which people are trying to tell stories.
Or stories are driven purely because developers need to make money, so they can't make different they can't make different kinds of stories because they have to make something that actually makes money. It's kind of like the Hollywoodification of games, right?
Yeah, which I mean, like we're seeing that with the Call of Duty series now, right? Like it's become a cash cow. They push out a new one. They've actually given up, or what was it? I remember what was it? I think it was either Advance Wars or a couple of Call of Duties later. They actually were like not going to provide a story whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the entire community just went like, "What? Why not?"
What?
And it's like,
this is the whole point of it.
It's no, and they were like, "Well, this is just multiplayer, right? You just want a multiplayer game." And people are like, "No, they're like, we like the story, right? We want to hear what you have to say." So I mean that's an important part of it as well. I've never seen a game that has been able to show the corruption of man through action well. Right? I think the best that you could probably argue is something like maybe the KOTOR Knights of the Old Republic series, right? Or what was it? Your actions affect others, especially in KOTOR 2, where if you act evil, people don't leave you. They become evil too, right? Our actions do intertwine and react and influence each other. And you can see that in the game. So that's kind of interesting. So, but I mean, games right now, yeah, a lot of them are very much focused on, what is the gameplay? How often can we have them come back and, play the multiplayer? How much money can we get out of them? Yada, yada, yada. So yeah, it's an area that is definitely ripe for improvement, and development within this medium. But I would say most FPSs, especially when it comes to actual like war shooters, they do at least provide good examples of honor, which we need and we just don't seem to have, camaraderie, and self-sacrifice. And what was it? Bad Company. What was it? Battlefield Bad Company. If I'm saying that correctly.
Yep.
I think has the best story for that. So, but anyway, wow. So we are actually running a little long. We are at only an hour and 6, so we're actually okay. But But yeah, no. Do you guys have any other thoughts or
Yes.
responses to what I've said?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I think then, like, to maybe just wrap it up, other podcast episodes I've appeared on, we've went through the rating system. So maybe that's an appropriate way to end it, is to go like, hey, this is how we rate it, and this is why I rate it this way. So I'll kick it off since I'm proposing the idea. I think that we would rate this as an L, a limited adult audience, because a lot of FPS games, they deal with moral problems that a younger mind uh, isn't necessarily able to comprehend or be able to deal with the nuances of different things, and with the violence that some of them have out there. Like you mentioned, James, you mentioned with the Doom, like, hey, I bought it, I tried to play it, but just the grotesque nature of it was as difficult for you to stomach. And a lot of games can be like that. I can remember, watching like G4 and things like that. It's like, oh, well, this is a banned FPS. It's Postal. Well, it was a game about the post office workers that lost their minds and went and were just like killing people indiscriminately, right?
Yeah, and then peeing on their dead bodies and other horrible things.
Yeah. And so like that one for sure, like there's a reason why that one got banned, right? So that game maybe in itself would be an morally offensive. Nobody should play that game. But I think as the genre as a whole would probably be limited adult audiences. I think like the ESRB ratings reflect that too, is that a lot of the FPSs are rated M for mature, which is 17 plus.
Yep.
And so that's kind of my reasoning why. And my rating, as if we're going with the USCCB ratings.
Sure. So usually with our kind of genre discussions, I don't bring in the ratings just because, but you do bring up a good point.
There's so many games that it's hard to classify the whole genre, because you could say that about every single video game genre. Like you could classify it as an L, limited audience, because you've got some games that are just morally offensive. So like you have to include that into the overall rating. You can't gloss over it.
Yeah, but I think Andrew brings up a good point. And the FPS, I mean, is kind of the same with horror, right? Horror and FPS kind of sit isolated from the other genres because of the kind of content they almost always include, which is usually very graphic in nature, and it's very much in your face and requires the individual playing the game to partake in or be witness of horrendous moral acts, right? So I would argue that Andrew brings up a good point. Most first person shooters probably are going to be an L. Some are probably going to be an O. And I mean there's always your outliers, right? You do have your portals, right, that are going to be probably your A2s. You're going to have your FPS chesses, which are it's literally just a goofy inanimate objects that are like swinging a sword at each other. That's obviously kind of like an A1 A2 kind of deal, right? It's like an E10 or whatever. So while with these genre discussions we usually don't do that. No, Andrew, you bring up a good point, and so I would agree with you there. Because of the graphic feature. Yep, thank you.
Just trying to be helpful, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely agree. It definitely the genre itself is an L for limited audience. But yeah, it's verging on O in some genre, some games.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, with the rise of the graphical nature and the realism of some of these games, I could see a lot more of these games pushing to an O than more to an L, and that's because of the interactive nature that video games have us do, right? Like I stated in our not episode after Modern Warfare 2, I went back and played through the no Russian level, and I was horrified. Like I was disgusted with what I saw, and I was like, oh yeah, no wonder this was like, you know, people were like, why weren't we warned about this?
People like
right?
horrified by it.
Was that the whole airport thing?
Yeah,
massacre.
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah,
and yeah, no, and you know, part of the problem with FPS shooters is you're placed in their footsteps, and eventually you do become desensitized to that kind of violence, right? So you know, FPSs are a lot of fun, but maybe they need to be done or played not sparingly, but just not all the time.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think too, like, you know, we end up in these situations like, you know, we all have those like intrusive type thoughts that happen to all humans. All humans have intrusive thoughts, right?
Intrusive thoughts? What are you talking about?
Yeah. And so like when it comes to like the nature of sin or things like that, it's like, okay, I have a thought. Now, am I going to act it like maybe it is an immoral thought? Am I going to reject that thought, or am I going to entertain and act on that thought? Because the thought itself is not a sin; it's the action that happens afterwards. And so, okay, James plays through the level in Modern Warfare 2. Is James now going to go, oh, I lived through that. Since I've lived through that, I'm going to go and do that in real life now. You know, I don't think that he would. At least I hope that he would not. But I could see, you know, that was a big argument in the 90s with the Columbine shooting, was that, oh, these violent video games that lead to and we don't know, like the data is kind of inconclusive. I think in some cases it has an effect on some people, but in some cases it doesn't. You know, like, okay, Connor, we played through payday, you know, we're robbing banks and we're that, but
that doesn't mean that
me
we're
and
actually
you
doing
gonna go right? Are we gonna go and plan a heist ourselves and be willing to commit those things? No, it's so it's one of those deals that we understand that it's morally reprehensible. We understand it's a game, it's not real life, and I think that's why, you know, going limited audiences to make sure that you have that good moral understanding of what's going on, and then so that you're still living your life in accordance with the faith, in accordance with good morals, but being able to enjoy the art that other people have produced.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
You still enjoy it, but you don't have to act out on it.
All right. Well, I think we should wrap up from there. Anything else you guys got to say?
Another thing I would like to everyone know: Columbine was bad. Don't do what happened at Columbine. I just want everybody to know that that's the precedent we want to set on this podcast. Hitler was bad. Columbine was bad. In that order.
Grow in virtue, folks. Grow in virtue. Do not lose your virtue.
Yeah,
exactly.
Go read the
I
catechism.
stream on twitch.tv/Fatal Condor every Tuesday at 7:30. I recently have been slowly migrating all my past videos over to YouTube, so you can find me on YouTube at Fatal Condor on YouTube. You can go watch us do some hijinks and stuff over the years. I've been streaming for like 3 or 4 years now, 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, so the shark episode, that was when you were still living with your old roommate Connor.
Yeah.
Which was like 2019. So
yeah. No. That was 2021. I moved to Bismarck in 2022.
Was it? No, you moved in 2020. Right. Okay, yeah. It was 2021.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
21 and 22, right around there.
So, perfect. Andrew, do you have any social medias you would like to share?
All my social medias are set to private, dude.
Don't find me.
I have a LinkedIn. Please do not find me there. You can see all of the jobs I've ever held, including this one. I actually posted that on there, which, funny enough, actually, I had an interview about a month ago, and the lady had mentioned, she was like, I checked out your LinkedIn, and then I saw you had this podcast, so I listened to the latest podcast to like get to know who the heck you were. So
You're
yeah,
like, oh crap!
it's like, oh no, which one did you listen to? Yeah. All right, perfect. So Andrew is impossible to find except in person right now in Aberdeen and eventually in Bismarck. Not to dox you, but yeah, you were talking about it. So
they're pretty big towns. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, it's not like where I'm at. Anyway, and of course I'm James. You can always find me. We have a Twitter account, so you can always find us there. We usually just kind of. It's X. Twitter. X is a stupid name. I will die on this hill.
Fair enough.
Strange hill to die on, James.
Huh?
It's a strange hill to die on.
I'm a strange man. I also have a Substack. You can find me at amalemillennial.substack.com. You can read what I have to write there. It's not great. I am dyslexic, so I might. There's attempts, but you can always email us at catholicgamerspod@gmail.com. We are trying to grow our audience, so please feel to like, comment, subscribe, follow, email people about this podcast, tell them about it, have them pull up your phone and add it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you can find podcasts, because we're pretty much everywhere there.
Send out the smoke signal.
Yes, smoke signals. Beat the drums. Let people know that we are here. But yeah, all I can think of now is Horton Hears a Who. Like we are here. We are here. We are here. Anyway, with all that being said, thank you for listening, and God bless.
Bye. Have a great time. I will let everybody know that I was able to get Doom Eternal downloaded. I signed in through my Microsoft account, and I can play it now. Prepare demons to die! Classic.